Welcome back. It is 1676. In the last one, the twins aged up into teenagers and are now on their own. Canon Chet became Uncas's heir. Poman got married. Sadie's back in the family. Bridget has a crush on Thaddeus, and Thanks has admitted that Trinity's baby is his. In this one, we have Elizabeth Hobart, who was born at the very end of the last one, no 12, 16, or 18. That was close. Aylin Waldrick, no 4, 8, or 17. Benjamin Waldrick and Abigail Hobart, no 13 or 19. Everyone's living all the time around here. Melly Waldrick. Melly, you just got married like 2 years. 2, 6, 11, or 15. No way. No way. Well, she's pregnant right now though, right? Oh my gosh. They've had one baby. Hold on, let's oh my gosh. And it was a girl. Oh my goodness, this whole plan of Ken and Chet taking control of everything because him and Melly are married. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Okay. Everything's fine. Everything is fine. Humphrey and Rebecca need to do their end of life rolls. 4, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. Goodness. Becca. I can't remember how to spell that. Waldrick. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We have an adult part 2, which is 9 or greater. Salili is dying this year. We have an adult part 1. What was that? No, 2, 6, 11, or... Okay. Guess Amos is dying this year, too. Oh my goodness. So is Natalia. Oh goodness. Okay, and then for teen, I jinxed us at the beginning of this. You heard me jinx us. Okay, at least she survived. You heard me jinx us at the very beginning of this. I was like, oh, everyone's living, and then a bunch of people died. Okay, let's hop into the game. All right, so here we are in our main household, and we are taking care of the plants and the chickens and the bees and everything. So Phineas is kind of taking the main role with that. Gideon is doing a little bit of it. Gideon is into woodworking right now. He's been saving up his money. He wants to apply to university, and he wants to be able to better his life. He wants to move up in the world and everything. So that is what is going on there. And so we have Phineas, who is taking care of his plants that he gathered. He's been learning about apothecary stuff, and it's really kind of interested him. He has decided that he wants to learn more about it, and he wants to learn more about how plants can heal illnesses and all that kind of stuff. So he is going to come and get his own apothecary table. We're going to put it up next to the woodworking table. They're both going to work on stuff. I think eventually we might make a shed in the backyard or something for the apothecary stuff, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So they're both working on that, and they are doing their best to kind of survive, in this way alone, where it's just the two of them. And so they still do, feel like Obadiah and the kids, were their family. They grew up with these kids. They grew up with Obadiah. They don't really remember a life without them. And so that has been a big struggle for them, and they want to still feel like that these people are their family, even though Obadiah kind of left them, to their own devices. So they are going to go visit in town. They're going to go visit and see, the kids and Obadiah and everything. And so they come to visit, and Phineas is just talking with Deborah there. And so Gideon, is chatting with Obadiah, and Obadiah is just kind of like, doesn't really understand why they felt the need to come around. He is very much just trying to move on, and not take responsibility for these kids. But, it's like they're sticking to him, right? So he's kind of like, what are you doing? Like, why are you here? What do you want? And, they just really want to feel this connection to someone. They want to feel like this is their family and they're together, and, they don't want to lose every person that's ever kind of been in their lives like that. And Obadiah is just not being kind about it. He's just kind of like, look, like, I thought I was clear, like, we're moving on, and you don't need to come around. You don't need to, maintain a relationship or whatever. And so Gideon actually gets really hot-headed about it. He's actually not hot-headed, but he is mean. So, he gets really angry about it, and he is basically telling Obadiah, like, you can't, like, just because you abandoned us doesn't mean that, like, these are not my siblings, or that this is not our family. Like, just because you decided for everyone that we're gonna, take the easy way out and just abandon these children that have only ever known you and your family. And he's just like, they're just like arguing about it, and it's really like, Gideon is trying to say all this stuff, but like, it's not going to help you. Like, he's not going to change his mind. It's not going to change anything for you. So Gideon's just like, forget it. Like, I gotta get out of here. So he goes off, and he goes to the little activity area here. And playing chess is Alice Johnson, so one of the Johnson daughters who's aged up into a teen. And so he comes and he sees her playing chess, and he joins her. And they get to talking a little bit, and she actually has the genius trait, so she is super smart. And so he does, chit chat with her, and he tells her about how he wants to go to college, how he's been studying really hard and been trying to do that, and how it's been a struggle because of his family situation. He doesn't really have a lot, but he is a smart guy. Like, he's smart, and he's able to, they don't have like a really good primary school here, obviously, but he's been doing well, and he really wants to go to college and wants to better his life. And so they're just talking about stuff, and like, he really likes that she kind of feels academic, in a way, because she is a genius, and she, is so smart and everything. And so he does enjoy having that conversation with her because of, her traits. So they're just going to chat a little bit. We actually, I am going to have him apply to college. He did graduate high school early already, so we are going to have him apply to college. He'll be working on that next year, I think. It's going to take us a while to get through college, and also I don't know if I'm going to be able to play rotationally as well and also get him to do well in school. So we'll see. We are going to we're going to figure something out one way or another. But in the meantime, we are going to go see Bridget, who is for some reason still here over at the Smith household, but that's fine. So Bridget actually wants to talk to Thaddeus because, her and Thaddeus have been best friends for a while, and she has she has a crush on him. She doesn't really understand why he hasn't, made a move. So she is going to be right out and say it, and basically be like, Thaddeus, like, why haven't you asked to court me? Why haven't you made a move? Why aren't we dating? And so Thaddeus is just kind of like shocked, because he does like her and he does want to be with her, but he tells her, like, well, I know that you've had bad experiences in the past with people being gross, and I didn't want to put any pressure on you, and I didn't want to put any expectations on you that you might not be wanting. I didn't want to ruin our friendship, and I didn't want you to feel uncomfortable. And so she's just kind of like, well, I'm not uncomfortable. Also, we're having a baby. This is Wyanette Waldrick, who has been born, and unfortunately, we don't have to roll for Melly because she is already dying this year. So we're just going to roll for the baby, and the baby does survive. So that's 2 girls for them, too. Just to keep in mind, considering Uncas has just made Canon Chet his heir or successor, and now Canon Chet has 2 daughters, and his wife is dying. So that's anyway. But yes, so Bridget is basically like, well, I would like it if you made a move on me. I would like it if, we dated. I'd like, you're my favorite person in the whole world. You're my best friend. And, I can't think of anyone better. And so she decides if he's not going to make the first move, she's going to make the first move. So she does make that move, and she is going to ask him to be her boyfriend. And they're all really excited about it. So they're both excited. They both do want this, and they really do like each other and everything. And he just was trying to be respectful. And then he proposes. So he proposes. And so it's all very exciting. So he just like proposed right off the bat there. And then meanwhile, Amos is going to visit with Meredith. Meredith is going to visit Amos. And basically, Muriel has died. Amos is all alone. And, the last thing that Muriel did was kind of try to get him and Meredith together. And they do have a little bit of a romance spar. And so Amos is basically saying to Meredith, like, my mother, Muriel, not his biological mother, but the woman who basically was his mother, she really wanted us to be together. She wanted us to get married. And I think that would be great. And I think that you and I could be great together and continue on, the Phelps family line and all of that stuff. And so he does propose to her, and she says yes. She's honestly not entirely sure about it, but she doesn't have any other prospects right now. And also, she is wanting to get out of the house. So that is all true. And so she does say yes, but we know that Amos is actually dying this year. So Amos is not going to decide, or not decide, but like Amos and Meredith are not going to get married because he is dying like in a minute or two. Like, so, but yes, he did want to carry on the Phelps name, but unfortunately that did not happen. Actually, I should check. Do the Phelpses even have anyone else? I mean, like, there were some illegitimate kids, but I don't know if that is okay. Nicholas Phelps. Okay, yeah, they have some. No, those are Hobards, Waldrick, Hobard, Dubois. Yeah, no, I don't think there's anybody with the last name Phelps left. So, oh, and then next thing, I was not on the screen when I was looking there for that, but trigger warning, because I have not been doing a good job with my trigger warnings, and I'm really sorry for that. I just kind of, am rolling through. I think that like the generic warning that I give is, good enough, and sometimes it's not good enough. So I am warning you right now. If you would like to skip this section, we are going to have Thomas, who now knows the love spell, be using it. So Thomas has been thinking since Trinity has told him about her using the love spell on Thanks, and how it worked like that, and all that. I mean, it was not permanent, right? And honestly, I don't even think his original potion that he used on Charity was permanent, but Thanks is a nice guy, and she ended up marrying him, and so she likes him well enough, even if those initial feelings had kind of faded. But Charity is here, and Thomas has been obsessed with her. And he has been obsessed with her, and he, always wanted to marry her and everything. And he's kind of thinking in his head, like, if, I could just get her to love me just for a moment, like maybe I could get her to leave Thanks, maybe we could be together, all this stuff. Like, he's always kind of had this like gross, like, she thought he was her friend at first, and then it wasn't the case. He was just trying to get with her and all this stuff. And so she is just minding her poor old business because she is about to have a baby. And he comes up and he thinks about how Trinity, had her spell and everything, and he decides that he's going to use it too, which is very gross and bad. And Thomas is a very bad person, and we are not condoning his behaviors. We are saying that he is the villain here, and he is a terrible person. And he is going to use that spell on Charity so that he can, cause a scandal of some sorts where they woohoo, and now she, has to come clean or whatever happens. But he is doing that. So, fortunately or unfortunately, the only person who has noticed this situation is actually her mother. So her mother has noticed and kind of comes over and is like, "What is going on? Like, what are you doing?" And so, Charity, like, it's starting to wear off, and Charity's like, I don't know. She's like, I don't know why I did that. And so Thomas is like, Charity and I are in love, and Charity's like, no, 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 no. No, we're not. And so Elizabeth is like, okay, well, Charity, you're going to come with me. Like, even Cameron is coming over. They're like, okay, Charity, you're coming with us. Thomas, I don't know what's up with you. You're not coming with us. And Cameron, who is the captain right now, he's like, Thomas, you better keep your mouth shut. Like, we're going to handle this. And Thomas is just kind of like, well, I hope you handle it appropriately, because Charity and I should be together, or we're like destined to be together. Creepy psycho behavior. So that happened. And now we are going to actually head over to see the Waldricks. So Pullman is actually dealing with an internal conflict of his own. I'm going to kill Mellie right now. So Mellie is dead at this point in time. And honestly, like, they have 2 daughters, and Ken and Chet is the heir and everything. And Pullman is kind of thinking to himself, well, like, the whole point that Ken and Chet got to be the successor was because he was married to Mellie, and they were going to have children, and those children were going to do the thing. And now that's either not going to happen, or it'll have to be like a son-in-law situation, because they do not have any boys. And then also because children mortality is pretty high in this game. So basically, Pullman kind of has the thought, and he feels very ashamed of this thought, but he kind of thinks to himself, like, well, who's left? Who's left? I'm left, and I have a pregnant wife, and maybe we'll have boys, and all this stuff, and like, we're still related, like, and he's kind of thinking to himself, like, does this open the door for me? Does this give me an opportunity? And of course, he feels ashamed of thinking that, because his brother is going through mourning and is now a single dad, and there's so many awful things. But like, also, it's a thought that he has, and he can't help it, and he doesn't verbalize it. He doesn't say it out loud or anything, but it's still, a thought. And while they are all trying to rally around Ken and Chet and making sure that he's okay, and that, they're all mourning together and everything, he still has that thought. And then he looks at Ruth, who's pregnant, and we know she's pregnant with twin boys. But like, Ruth is pregnant, and, he thinks, like, could she be, a good, wife for a chief? Maybe. With some tweaking, because she's still in her Puritan outfits. But yeah, so he's kind of having these thoughts, and he feels bad about having them. Like, he does not want to, think that way when his brother is grieving. But like, it also is, a thing. And he's trying not to be a jerk, but he does have these thoughts, and he's thinking, maybe in the future, like, maybe it will be me. Maybe it will be my kids. And so that is something that he is definitely struggling with. But we can also keep in mind that Yona and Nita had a daughter as well, but Yona is dead, so there's no man in that house. But Nita does have a daughter as well, so there is that. But and they were part of the Yazzie family, and the original family. But they're not part of this Waldrick family. So I don't know. We'll have to think more about it. But yeah, it's definitely a thought that Pullman had, and he doesn't, want to think that way, because he feels like a jerk thinking that way. But he does have the thought. Now we are going to go back to our main family while we do some of these birthday things. But yes, we are still having them work on their skills, the woodworking and the apothecary stuff. And then we're going to do some birthday things. So let's see. I'm just letting them run the household, run the little garden that they have and everything. Those are things that now Phineas is harvesting to work on apothecary stuff. Gideon is applying for scholarships, and we'll see where that goes. But for birthdays, we have Elizabeth Hobart becoming an infant, Aylin Waldrick becoming a toddler, Benjamin Waldrick becoming a child, Abigail Hobart becoming a child, Melly Waldrick passing away, Salili Yazi passing away, Amos Phelps passing away, Natalia Anderson passing away, Abigail Johnson becoming a teenager, and Wyatt Waldrick being born and becoming an infant. And then also at the very end of this, Charity has her baby. It is a boy, and we name him Thanks the Second. He does survive, but he'll do his infant role next time. So that is really it for this year in The Sims. Let's see, is there anything exciting going on next year? Not really. Not really, but in this, it's one day we'll age these boys up into young adults. But for right now, it's going pretty well. So I think next time we will see Gideon do some college stuff, and we will see Phineas continue to work on the apothecary stuff, and just having them start their stories and start their relationship stories as well, because they are going to start thinking about their future wives and stuff. And so we'll get with that. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.